What if the number that runs the world is measuring the wrong thing entirely? Every government on Earth uses it. Every news channel reports it. Every election is won or lost on it. It's called GDP, Gross Domestic Product. And almost everything you believe about it is wrong. Here's the first thing they don't teach you. GDP goes up when a hurricane destroys a city. It goes up when people get sick and need surgery. It goes up when a country goes to war. And in several European countries, GDP goes up every time someone pays for sex or buys illegal drugs. That's not a glitch. That's the design. The number we use to measure how well a civilization is doing counts a hospital bill and a bomb and a gambling addiction with the exact same enthusiasm. So here's the real question. If GDP can rise while people are sicker, poorer, and breathing worse air than they were a decade ago, what exactly is it measuring? And why does the entire world still believe it? You've probably felt it. The economy is growing, and yet your life feels more expensive, more precarious, more exhausting than it did 5 years ago. You're told the numbers are good, but the numbers don't feel good. And you're right to be confused, because the gap between what GDP measures and what most people actually experience is not an accident. It's structural. It's built into the formula. And once you see how GDP actually works, what it counts, what it ignores, and what it actively rewards, you cannot unsee it. Let's start with what GDP actually is. GDP is the total dollar value of all goods and services produced in a country in a given year. More transactions, more spending, more money changing hands. GDP goes up. That's it. It does not ask whether those transactions made people's lives better. It does not ask whether the environment survived them. It does not ask whether the wealth was shared or hoarded. It just counts activity. Simon Kuznets, the economist who helped design GDP in the 1930s, warned about this himself. He told the US Congress directly, "The welfare of a nation can scarcely be inferred from a measurement of national income." That was in 1934. His warning was ignored, and the consequences of ignoring it have quietly shaped almost every major policy decision made in the developed world for the past 80 years. Here's the first thing that should stop you cold. The countries with the highest GDP per capita are not the happiest countries on Earth. This isn't an opinion. It's the finding of decades of research. The World Happiness Report, which surveys hundreds of thousands of people across more than 150 countries, consistently places nations like Finland, Denmark, Iceland, and the Netherlands at the top. The United States, despite having one of the largest and most productive economies in human history, ranks around 23rd. A 2010 study by economists Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton, both Nobel Prize winners, found that emotional well-being in America stopped improving once household income reached roughly $75,000 a year. Beyond that threshold, more money did not produce more happiness. And yet, GDP keeps growing, the economy keeps expanding, and the richest country in the world keeps telling itself that growth is the goal. But if growth stopped translating into human happiness, somewhere around $75,000, what exactly is all that extra growth for? The research points to something uncomfortable. GDP measures economic size. It says almost nothing about whether the people inside that economy are actually flourishing. Now here's where it gets genuinely strange. In 2014, the European Union issued new accounting guidelines requiring member states to include illegal economic activity in their GDP calculations. This means prostitution. This means drug trafficking. This means illegal gambling. Italy, the UK, Spain, and others added these sectors to their national accounts. The UK's Office for National Statistics estimated that drug use and prostitution together added approximately £10 billion to the British economy annually. The revision added roughly 0.7% to Italy's GDP overnight. Not because the Italian economy had grown, not because Italian citizens were better off, but because the accountants changed what they were counting. This raises a question that doesn't have a comfortable answer. If GDP can increase simply by deciding to count crimes, without a single new product being built, without a single worker's life improving, then what, precisely, is it measuring? And if a government's economic success can be boosted by the expansion of trafficking and addiction, is economic growth always good? The accounting doesn't judge, it just adds. Now consider war. When a country goes to war, military spending surges. Weapons manufacturing expands. Defense contracts explode. Logistics, infrastructure, intelligence. All of it costs money, and all of it counts as GDP. During World War II, America's GDP nearly doubled in 5 years. The economy was, by every conventional measure, booming. Millions of people were dead. Cities across Europe and Asia were rubble. But the number said, growth. This wasn't a historical anomaly. After the September 11th attacks, the US launched 2 major wars that would eventually cost over $8 trillion. Defense industry stocks surged. GDP recorded strong quarters throughout much of the 2000s. And a 2011 study from Brown University's Watson Institute calculated that over 900,000 people died in those conflicts, including civilians, soldiers, and contractors. Not a single one of those deaths reduced GDP. In fact, the medical care for wounded veterans, the rebuilding of damaged infrastructure, the long-term treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder, all of it went into the count. Destruction, followed by reconstruction, is one of the most reliable ways to grow GDP. Which means the formula doesn't distinguish between building a hospital and bombing one, and then rebuilding it. All 3 score the same way. The same logic applies to natural disasters. When Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans in 2005, the economic damage was catastrophic. But the federal response, the emergency spending, the construction contracts, the insurance payouts, the rebuilding effort, all of that registered as economic activity. The storm destroyed lives, neighborhoods, and decades of community infrastructure. The recovery effort added to GDP. Researchers have a name for this paradox. They call it the broken window fallacy, scaled up to a national accounting system. The idea is simple. If you break a window, the glazier gets paid, and economic activity occurs. But the window owner is worse off. The economy didn't gain, it just churned. GDP counts the churning. It does not count what was lost. And what about the things that are produced without any transaction at all? A parent raising children instead of outsourcing childcare to a daycare center, not counted. A neighbor helping an elderly person with groceries instead of paying a delivery service, not counted. A community maintaining a park through volunteer labor instead of hiring a private company, not counted. All of this value, real, tangible, human value, is invisible to GDP. But the moment a corporation charges for the same services, it appears. The formula doesn't measure value, it measures commercialization. Here's what may be the most disturbing dimension of all. GDP can grow, and the planet can be destroyed in the process. Economic growth has historically been tightly correlated with carbon emissions, deforestation, industrial pollution, and ecological degradation. A 2018 study published in Nature found that the current trajectory of global GDP growth is fundamentally incompatible with limiting warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The economy can grow. The air can become unbreathable. GDP records the growth. It does not record the air. China's GDP grew at extraordinary rates throughout the 2000s and 2010s, averaging nearly 10% per year for over a decade. By conventional measures, this was one of the most impressive economic expansions in human history. But a 2013 study estimated that air pollution in China was reducing life expectancy in the northern part of the country by more than 5 years. The factories producing that growth were also producing the particulates, killing the people those factories employed. GDP counted the output. It didn't subtract the lungs. And this problem has a name in economics: negative externalities. These are costs generated by economic activity that are borne by people who weren't part of the transaction. Pollution is the classic example. A factory produces goods, generates revenue, and contributes to GDP. The town downstream drinks contaminated water. The factory's contribution is counted. The town's suffering is not. GDP is a balance sheet with no liability column, and this is not a flaw that went unnoticed. In 1995, the Genuine Progress Indicator, or GPI, was developed as an alternative to GDP. It starts with the same consumption data as GDP, then adjusts for income inequality, adds the value of volunteer work and household labor, and subtracts the costs of crime, pollution, family breakdown, and resource depletion. When researchers calculated GPI for the United States from 1950 to 2000, they found something striking. GDP rose consistently for 50 years. GPI peaked in the mid-1970s and then declined. For 25 years, the American economy was growing, and by a more complete measure, American well-being was shrinking. So why does the world keep using GDP? The honest answer is because it's simple. One number, easy to compare, easy to report, easy to campaign on. GDP doesn't require you to define what a good life looks like. It doesn't require you to measure happiness, or health, or ecological stability, or the strength of communities. It just adds up transactions. And in a world run by governments who need metrics and media who need headlines, a single clean number is extraordinarily powerful, even if it's measuring the wrong thing. Simon Kuznets understood this. He designed a tool for measuring wartime production capacity, and the world decided to use it to answer the question of whether human civilization was progressing. Those are not the same question. Countries that bomb cities and countries that build hospitals can both report GDP growth in the same quarter. Economies that poison rivers and economies that protect them are measured on the same scale. Nations where the rich capture almost all of the gains and nations where prosperity is widely shared are ranked by the same number. GDP sees all of it as growth. It is perhaps the most consequential measurement error in the history of modern civilization. And the deepest irony is this: we built a system to measure human progress, and then we chose a number that measures everything except that. So the next time you hear that the economy is growing, ask yourself what is actually getting bigger. And ask yourself, who decided that was the thing worth counting?